Hello, Kyle here. So, as you can see, I'm working on my first painting in a long time. So I just thought I'd make a video about this part because it is both my favorite and most terrifying part. So this is the initial rough or underpainting where I've got all the composition and all the elements down, but it's very flat and all over, and it's very uncontrolled and it's kind of sloppy. If I just sold prints online and no one saw them in person, I could probably call it done because it looks kind of okay on a screen. But when you get up close, you realize it's really quite sloppy and uninteresting and not a whole lot's going on. And that's because it's just an underpainting. What makes this my favorite part is the initial sketch and tracing, and all that stuff is by far the most boring, monotonous part of the process. And now this is the very beginning of the fun part. So, for this painting, the only thing that's ahead of me is my favorite thing to do in the world, which is paint. So it's all good up ahead, but the reason why it's a little bit terrifying is it's also the part where I'm making these big decisions that will kind of carry through the rest of the painting, and if I make a poor choice now, it will completely ruin the piece. As important as it is to actually paint, it's also important just to take several steps back and just look and see what you have going on. So I spent a good amount of time staring at this image and trying to pull out elements, push some areas forward, push back other areas. The blue in this area here I think is way too dark. I want to push that way back to be background, much like this area in here should read as background. I think the main thing I want to do is darken this little area in here and kind of turn this little thing almost into a pathway that draws you in here. But as you're going around this bend, these vertical sort of pillars will kind of suck you down into the void that's kind of in this area here. The way I do that is through texture and color and contrast. So to take an area that you want to push into the background, like this blue and white, is relatively easy. I just make the blue much lighter so it has lower contrast against the white background, and that'll cause it to recede. Where these areas where I really want to have them pull forward, I'll actually increase the contrast between different areas. So see the red here. I'll make some of the red in the center darker, almost black, to kind of unify this as one large shape instead of just collections of blobs. But along the edges I'll put in not just red, but orange, maybe even yellow, to make those edges really sharp and contrasty, sort of simulating a computer unsharp mask filter, which increases the contrast. When you have bright contrast between edges, that makes it read as popping forward. So that's pretty much what there is to it. It's just painting and deciding where things are going to go. And first urban landscape painting of 2015. And considering I didn't really do any at all last year, I guess my first one in a while.